A Gift for Teaching is Central Florida's primary provider of free school supplies to teachers so they can pass them on to students who need them. And the organization is celebrating 25 years of serving high need public schools in Orange and Osceola counties. And my guest is Jane Thompson, president of A Gift for Teaching. I guess congratulations are in order. Congratulations. It's what an awesome accomplishment, 25 years. Why don't you tell us about the celebration you had, the birthday celebration?
Well, first of all, when you live in a community like Central Florida, you take your cue from people who know how to celebrate and stretch out a birthday all year long. And so we're taking our cue from a couple of the big theme parks. So our actual birthday was last Saturday, September the 16th. And Beth, it's such an exciting time. It's hard to believe. A Gift for Teaching, this little homegrown grassroots nonprofit, has turned 25, and that we've become a pretty critical piece of how public education teachers and their students are supported so well by our community through A Gift for Teaching.
In simplest terms, what is the mission? I mean, I just envision a pencil and it going into a student's hand. How would you describe the basic mission?
So the basic mission and the way that we, tell people most, we are Central Florida's primary provider of free school supplies for public school teachers for their students who need them most. And that means that we are providing those educational resources to the teachers who otherwise would be spending their own money, and sometimes still do. But we believe that it's our responsibility collectively as a community to ensure that our teachers aren't the only ones who are trying to ensure that students who come from really challenging backgrounds are going to have the same opportunity to have a pencil, have a backpack, have a notebook, just like everyone else in their classroom, because their families cannot afford to buy those things for them. So we were founded by Gary Landworth. He's was a local philanthropist, and Gary recognized there was this great need in our community because he had friends who were teachers, and they were teaching in some of Orlando's lowest income schools. And they were always talking about how many more of their kids were showing up without anything. Nothing. Some of them had never owned a book, held a crayon, and he just found this unbelievable. But even more so, his friends were spending money or asking their friends to help them with their kids. And he just thought to himself, here we are in Central Florida. We have so many amazing companies, and it's a great community. I'm sure that we can come up with a solution. And so he started asking teachers what they needed, and he heard loud and clear that they needed just the most essential things constantly: pencils, paper, notebooks, backpacks, rulers, erasers, glue sticks. And so obviously in the very, very beginning, it was a slow start. We opened our doors in 1998, and we were able to serve 30 Orange County public schools. They were Title I schools. And that first year, A Gift for Teaching managed to distribute $300,000 worth of school supplies. But it was evident that they needed to really expand. And it's hard to believe that 25 years later, we have distributed more than $160 million worth of school supplies. And the teachers have visited A Gift for Teaching almost 375,000 times to shop for free for these items to take back to their classroom.
Those are pretty astounding numbers, aren't they? I mean, we can divide it by 25, but the building, and I think that's sort of embedded in there, and I'd like you to speak to, is it seems like the need hasn't diminished, it's only increased.
You're right. So think about the communities that don't have A Gift for Teaching, and how much, I truly believe that what we've been able to do for our public school teachers and their students is such a model for so many communities around the country. And we've actually helped other communities, and we're sort of part of a small group of about 40 of us around the country. And a gift for teaching is a leader within that group. But you're right. I mean, look what's going on right now. Coming out of the pandemic, just the additional challenges that more and more families are faced with continuously, let alone teachers, and how they're feeling right now with some of the challenges that are being presented to them over and above the usual. So I know every year it seems like now more than ever we need our community support. But I can tell you that for Orange and Osceola County, having had this resource for so many teachers, Beth, we had a really fun day on Saturday, September 16th. That was a shopping day. We opened our doors up to 225 teachers. Our friends with Universal Orlando provided all sorts of razzle dazzle and extra fun for the teachers that day. But the most exciting thing, I think, for us was 5 of the teachers that visited us have been accessing a gift for teaching for 25 years. Like one of them was among the group of teachers that Gary first met with. And, it's just, they're wonderful ambassadors for us, of course. But, Becky Reitzel, who taught at Grand Avenue Elementary for years, and she's now at the ACE Academic Center for Excellence, which is the, new school in Paramore. She's like, think of it, I'm a first grade teacher. I've had 25 students every single year in my class for 25 years. That's a lot of students that have benefited just from that one teacher being able to do what, she could for all of them.
Speaking of the teachers, and certainly they're the ones on the front lines that are actually distributing those supplies that they receive. Let's dig into that a little bit more, because certainly the kids are kids, right? But
Right.
kind of the changes in the way we educate might have made some differences in how those teachers have had to act as a conduit, if you will, with those supplies going to the kids. What changes have you seen along those lines, and how has that evolved what you do in distributing the materials?
Boy, that's a great question. And let's take it in a few different pieces. So
Okay.
first of all, we pride ourselves on staying as relevant as we have always been able to what are the current challenges within the public school system for teachers, for their students. What are the things that, and obviously lack of time and the fact that we couldn't reach all teachers through what we were doing. We've been really innovative in providing online ordering options, curbside pickup. We have a mobile unit that's like a pop-up version of our free store for teachers that drives around the county. And we have a great partnership with the Education Foundation in Osceola County, where we have a storefront down there for teachers in Osceola County. So we're constantly, that I think is one thing we've realized, is we couldn't just constantly expect the teachers to come to us, but that is still the biggest way that we serve them. I think the other thing that has evolved over the years for us is the level of need that these children have. They're not just showing up needing a pencil or a notebook or a backpack. They may have shown up wearing dirty clothing or shoes that don't fit them properly, or they may be hungry. There's just, it's really hard to kind of, I'm constantly surprised by the things I learn that I never would have thought of was a challenge for a teacher. For instance, we often we have a wonderful group of volunteers that sew and make, little jumpers and cute little things, and they're always donating these things to us. And I watched a teacher one day get so excited about a little dress she was going to be able to take back for one of her students. So she had twins in her classroom, little boy and little girl, second grade, but they just came to school every day wearing pants and a t-shirt, and one would have one of the combinations on one day, and then the next day they would be reversed. So this little girl didn't have any dresses. She didn't have anything that was, so I mean, it's just like, wow, and sure enough, the next time I saw her, she was just, very effusive about how excited this little girl had been to just receive a dress of her own. A lot of the things that you will see if you come to a gift for teaching are all of the things you would expect, but there's so much more. There are items in there that we receive from, say the theme parks or Orlando Magic, and people often say, well, why are these items important? Could be water bottles, it could be a jersey, it could be a little notebook. Well, most of these children that we're serving have never been to any of these venues that, are sort of, but they're very excited to, and they'll work hard they'll behave, they'll show up on time, they'll read an extra book. Most of the teachers have treasure boxes. So I have just so much respect for teachers and how they can use almost anything that the community can give us. And what I mean by anything is anything that is new and still could be something exciting that can be used in the classroom for a teacher to teach, or for a child to go to a treasure box and find maybe a little candle or a little decoration and say, I'm going to give this to my mom for Mother's Day. It's just,
Yes.
so I think those are the things that we just didn't expect and didn't know what we'd be getting into, but it's so much, it's just become so much more of, and I just think teachers are playing such a bigger role in some of these children's lives than you might think, where children who have very engaged parents and because they can, and anyway. I
I
could
want
go
to ask you, I want to ask you about another facet of the 25 years and the evolution, and that would be in terms of the community supporting you. Circling back to that example of the jumper, I mean, probably 25 years ago, well, number one, you were dealing with just letting the community know who you are and what you do, and
on.
throwing out, here are some ways to help. But I imagine that the different ways people are supporting you and the different ways you need them to support your mission has evolved as well.
It really has. So, obviously our support comes from a broad spectrum of the community. Obviously, we have a fantastic group of community individuals who just love our mission. They were either teachers themselves, know someone who was a teacher. I think people universally can relate to our mission in such a big way. And then we've really been lucky to really develop so many great ties with the corporate community, especially as we look at what is happening with community engagement and how many companies are looking to get their employees out and able to volunteer. We offer so many outlets for volunteers who want to come in and help stock the store. They want to help run the store when the teachers are there. They want to perhaps do their own supply drives on site, or things like that. And then, of course, local foundations who over the years, they've been the ones that we can go to with more ambitious, um, you know, goals or ideas we have around how we want to expand our ability to reach more teachers and more students. So yeah, we it started small, and it's been so exciting to see. And I think that's so much of the spirit of what we're trying to do as we celebrate our 25th birthday, is that we are so grateful to our amazing community who have really, really embraced our mission. And I think they can see and they hear if they're in-house, the teachers feel they're so honored and appreciated that, the community cares about them and their kids. So, that's really where we've aspired to be, and it's wonderful.
I want to ask you about the time perspective. It's really easy for us civilians to think, oh, school's starting. Here's some pencils. You may need some paper at this time of the year. But these teachers are there with the students all year long. And that pencil from the first day of school got lost on the 12th day of school. So the
Uh-huh.
need remains throughout the school year, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think that's the thing that, is different about, I mean, our senses are so heightened at back to school time. And you hear about, it's so wonderful to see every church and community are doing backpack drives, and we're thinking about it, but we're there all year round. And, there's a huge, I mean, we've now come to recognize like second semester is almost like the start of school again. Another thing about so many of the schools that we focus our attention on, those schools that are the most underserved, the mobility rates are just off the scale. I mean, it is amazing how many times some teachers will start the school year with a group of students and it will almost have completely changed by the end of the year. And that's because there's so much instability and, families that are forced to move different places, or sometimes kids have to go live with grandparents and so on and so forth. So many times we understand that almost every day, some of these schools have kids showing up for the first time. And if something has happened quickly overnight, they don't have anything. So that's why I think so many of our teachers need to have, they're prepared. Okay, I've got a couple of extra backpacks. I've got some boxes of crayons and pencils. I've got some notebooks. I've got, they're ready for those things. And then I've seen some amazing things over the years. I went to a classroom once. I loved this. The teacher had a shoe rack, like a plastic hanging shoe rack, and she had each student's name on one of them. And there were crayons and pencils in each slot. And that's because she was making them take them from their shoe slot and then put them back, because otherwise she's like, pencils and crayons, it's just, I don't know what they eat them. I don't know what they do with them. And it's really interesting, like in the pandemic, when we had to really innovate to figure out okay, what is our role here and how can we help? A lot of the kids that were, moved and doing, remote homeschooling, well, they didn't have supplies at home. So we went back to the model of continuing to work very closely with the school district and the schools, who all had feeding programs, drive-through feeding programs. So we were quickly able to build, learning kits that could be sent back along with the food so that the kids had, things at home. So it's just, and right now, we just had a board meeting on Friday, and it's a very special time for our whole organization. There's a very big challenge in the school system right now with teacher retention and just the challenges around I mean, right now we know Orange County Public Schools, which I think is currently the 8th or 9th largest school district in the country. I don't know if you knew that. They're down about 1,400 teachers from the previous year. So, that is we're already having conversations about, well, what are the things that we can do next to help supplement the gaps, like how challenging it is going to be for teachers within those schools to meet the needs of all of their kids. So there's new challenges every year, it seems.
It's funny. I was going to ask you, a la the 25 years, well, what are sort of the wisdom points? What have you learned that, lead to best practices? But it sounds like everything you just said is a piece of the answer to my question, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's what we constantly have done is, you've got to look at whatever, especially I think about where we've been at different points through our life. I mean, I just think about how technology is playing such a different role. So we launched an app last year for our teachers. It has been revolutionary. So, teachers used to have to go to our website, make an appointment, come in, wait in line, check in, show their ID, then they'd get a clipboard and they'd go around and check off everything as they were shopping. Now they have an app. They can make an appointment on the app. They can place an order on the app for curbside pickup. They can book an appointment to see when Pencil Boy Express is going to be out around Orange County. And then when they come in, if their appointment, the app just says, oh, you're here, come on in. Our system can recognize they're here. They go around, they shop, they just scan everything. And it's, and they love it because, and it's funny because we have talked off and on before this, and pre-pandemic, I think a lot of people still were worried that teachers wouldn't want to download an app. They wouldn't want one more thing. But we've all lived through the pandemic and we've all learned how to do a lot of things on our phone. The demographics of teachers are also changing quite a bit. So that's been remarkable to sort of see how technology continues to help us get more effective and efficient and being able to be more responsive. So, yeah, we're very, very proud of everything that we've been able to build for our community.
For people just joining us, we are talking about the 25th anniversary of A Gift for Teaching. We've been talking about the history and how you've evolved. What's in store for this year of celebration?
So, on this special day last Saturday, we made it all about our teachers, and there will be several things that we are doing throughout the year with our partners, and again that will benefit our teachers. But we are going to throw a good old-fashioned party. So I didn't mention this. Now we are located now currently in a very large space on Magic Way that is part of the Orange County Public Schools warehousing complex. But when we first opened our doors, we were on Corinne Drive in the same strip mall where Park Ave CDs is and Red Light. I don't know if you kind of can picture that, but the first, I guess, 6 years of A Gift for Teaching's life, that's where we were. So we've decided to go home, back to the roost. The storefront that was A Gift for Teaching is right next door to Red Light. It's currently now called Orlando Outfitters, but we're going to sort of do a takeover and go back to where it all began. Our founder, Gary Landworth, will be there. A lot of our original board members and staff members and community friends and partners. And it'll just be a wonderful evening to it's going to be on Leap Day, February 29th. And, just with just a chance to really celebrate and return to our roots and be able to really just thank everyone who's helped us get to where we are. So we're just putting, the Audubon Park Garden District have come on as a partner. Obviously Red Light will anchor all of the, the cheer and the food and but we think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Jane, what else would you like everyone to know about A Gift for Teaching, and specifically tell us what we can do?
So the thing that I would let you know, I would invite everyone who's listening, if they want to just take a little peek at our world, is just visit our website at agiftforteaching.org. It is filled with all kinds of fun links that showcase our top moments over the past 25 years and really talk about all the different ways that anyone can get engaged with us. And obviously, there's three things that we rely on very much as an organization: volunteers, We have a very small, mean, lean team, but we have a wonderful, wonderful volunteer program. We're always needing product, donations of product. We do a book drive in March. There's all kinds of information. It's always easy for companies who want to help or are looking for an outlet for things that they might have to donate. And then, of course, financially, people can look at different ways they can get involved, whether they're an individual or a corporation. We're really excited. We have a matching pool of funds from some of our favorite foundations who are going to hopefully help inspire more people to consider becoming a classroom hero, which is a $25 a month gift program that we are just launching this month. And for every one of those people who choose to become a classroom hero, our foundations will match their gift as well for the whole year of our birthday year. So those are just a couple of the things that we have in store, but we're very, anytime, if any of your listeners ever wanted to stop in for a visit, we're always excited to give anyone a tour. It's kind of wild, I think, to see. It never seems to be what people expected. It is not at all a thrift store. It's a very joyous, happy, great place for teachers to come to at the end of their day. It's not at all like a classroom. It's like, I
What's
call
your
it,
favorite thing to show off?
well, it's just a bit of a, I mean, you walk into what you think is a warehouse building, and it's it's been designed so thoughtfully and joyously by, again, wonderful partners in the community. And we call it the Neiman Marcus of free stores for teachers. So, and you know, again, all very thoughtfully put together to make it as simple as possible for teachers to find what they need. But we have a very, very large warehouse in the back that always blows people's minds about. I mean, last year alone, we distributed $11 million worth of learning resources, school supplies, you know, all of these different incentive items we've talked about. So
I'm sure people's eyes just sort of pop out of their
wow,
heads when they
yeah.
see this, right?
Well, yeah, and I think the best part about what I love about getting people over to visit is it always opens people's minds. They'll say, "Oh my gosh, I've got a friend who's got a print shop." Well, I mean, paper is one of the most, you know, desirable things. Teachers will take it in any way, shape, or form. They would prefer reams of paper, but you know, they'll take it any way they can. So it always, I think, is just a great entree for people to understand that our needs are varied and almost everyone can help in some way or another.
Well, it's so good talking to you about this. Any final thoughts?
Well, I just really want to thank you for allowing me to just, you know, blab away about how proud we are to be turning 25 and grateful that we are to our community. And we're looking forward to the next 25 years of really ensuring that public educators and their students get the support they need.
It's been a real pleasure. My guest, Jane Thompson, president of A Gift for Teaching. I'm Beth Perrell.